Hi, this is Bobby Kimbrough and welcome to Off the Cuffs. I'm excited today to have with me hometown legend, family, Josh Howard. Welcome to Off the Cuffs, my brother.
Thank you, Sheriff Kimbrough.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm glad you're here. You know, a lot of people know who you are. A lot of folk know the great works you've done in the community. But just for beginners, tell us a little bit about you. I know you from the South Side. I know your story. But tell us a little bit about you.
Like you said, I'm from the South Side, Morningside neighborhood, right down the street from Reynolds Park Rec, where I made myself a legend as far as the basketball court. I'm a Howard. I know, like, the Kimbrough Se Howard name rings loud in the city of Winston-Salem. So just being from that family and even being connected to your family, you know, it's just a blessing to have a lot of strong, mentally strong people that I was able to see and kind of take after and form who I am today. And just always been a humble young man, you know.
So did you know you always wanted to play basketball, Josh?
No. I got picked on. I was one of those kids that got picked on for playing basketball. So my first love was football, and I played for the Greyhounds in '89 and '91, which tells my age.
Yeah.
And then after that, I went and played baseball at South Little League because I thought I was a good baseball player. I was a fan of Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry growing up. Yeah. Still a Mets fan to this day. Okay. But my strike zone got ridiculous once I hit that growth spurt. So I decided to try basketball, and I could always block shots, but I was never coordinated enough to really like run point guard or things of that nature. So that's when I told you earlier I used to get picked on over there at Reynolds Park as far as like being uncoordinated, but I never let it stop me, you know. And I just continued to walk up to Reynolds Park and keep working on my game like on my own before, you know, trainers and things of that nature. And my grandma and mom were big people that encouraged me to, you know, continue it. They never like told me not to go play sports. And it's just like something clicked in my head, like maybe my sophomore year of Glenn High School. And from that point on, I was just like a straight basketball player.
So you stopped playing football then?
Oh, yeah. I stopped playing football. 91 was the last year. I think we won a championship down in Florida, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Baseball, like I said, the strike zone was the reason why, because I did get taller, so, you know, I was getting strikes. And then I just fell into basketball. My dad, rest his soul, Kevin Robinson, a lot of people know him as Kemp.
Kemp.
Was I call him a neighborhood superstar in this area. Like
he was. I knew Kemp.
Yeah, I had so many people walking up to me in high school telling me about how good he was and things of that nature, which I believed, but, you know, I never got an opportunity to see it, you know. And I know he told me stories here and there, but, you know, to be able to be, you know, his son and, you know, take his genes and do something with it, you know, I appreciate him.
So you left Glenn and went to Wake. Was Wake your first choice? Were you recruited anywhere else besides Wake?
Well, after Glenn, I actually had to go to Hargrave Military Academy.
Exactly, you went to Hargrave.
Yeah, I went to Hargrave, and for those out there listening, I didn't pass the SAT coming out of high school. I didn't do any prep courses or things of that nature. I wasn't, I guess you can say, informed enough to know that I needed those type things coming out of high school. And that's another reason why I do some of the things I do in my camp, because, you know, information is key. And if I'd have known then, I would have prepped and, you know, probably would have went straight from high school to college. But Hargrave was probably one of the best things that happened for me, because it allowed me to go off and be a young man and also learn discipline. Biggest word I like to use is accountability.
Accountability.
Because, you know, I can tell my son to do something, but if he doesn't do it, that shows that he's not accountable, and I couldn't trust him. And that's one thing I learned from Sergeant Major Payne. I still remember that man because he pushed that in us. And once I completed, I actually passed my SAT like the third month I was there.
Wow.
So, like, and all it was me applying myself. Dr. Blair, rest her soul, she was one of the ladies up there that took a special interest in all the athletes and just made sure that we did what we were supposed to do to get to the next level for the ones who wanted to, you know, do it. And then Wake Forest, Dave Odom and Coach Hafe, Frank Hafe, they had one scholarship. And I never forget, they said, well, if you go to Hargrave, do what you're supposed to do. And I played center in high school, but I had to play guard forward when I got to college. They wanted me to transfer my game. And they said if I went up there and did what I was supposed to do, they would say that one scholarship for me. And that was just even more incentive for me to just go up there and take it serious. And make this city proud. I also got written off a lot because I was Player of the Year 2 years in a row at Glenn. So a lot of people thought I was just like the typical athlete, you know, good in high school and was going to fizzle out. So I used that as motivation too, because I definitely remember coming back. Guys was just like, "Oh, he made it," you know, and I was like, "Well, yeah."
Yeah, you did. You know, but here's what I want you to talk about. I just want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
You said knowledge is key, right? Knowledge is king, but I want you to share with me, because so many times a lot of athletes are just athletes and not student athletes.
Yeah.
And they get written off because they don't have the ability to, as you just said, nobody's told them, you got to take the SAT. You got to be in the clearinghouse. You got to do all these things to be ready for somebody to offer you a scholarship to come to school.
Yeah.
And so had you not taken the SAT, or had you not went to, you couldn't have went, right?
Yeah, I couldn't have went, and it would have been an uphill battle because it's like next up in line.
Next up in line.
Yeah, and it's tougher now because more kids are playing sports.
Right.
So if you don't know, and I've had conversations with some of my players that I coach that didn't know that they were supposed to take the SAT, didn't know how to apply for college, didn't know how to apply for a Pell Grant, and it's like, at the end of the day, if you take 2 days to learn this stuff, it's common sense, you know, and that's the time and the accountability part that I think a lot of, you know, young men and women are missing, especially in this day and age with, you know, social media. And I say that because people are looking for instant gratification more so, you know, the young generation. So, you know, I always encourage young men and women to take their heads out the phone and actually read a book here and there. You know, even my own kids, I get on them. I make my daughter, now that summer's in, she has to read a book before she picks up that tablet.
Wow.
You know, so some type of book, read me something, tell me what you learned, because at the end of the day, it's more than life than just, you know, social media.
You know, I'm so proud of you, man, for a lot of things that you do in this community, but you're so real. Even though you are successful and have experienced it, you constantly give back. And that knowledge is what you is giving back to the people, because common sense ain't common sometimes, and you just don't know what you don't know, because a lot of times we don't have the exposure. No one has shown us the roadmap. So you finish Hargrave and you arrive at Wake Forest University.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a culture shock, right?
I was thinking that's what I'm going to say when you said that, and it definitely was. One of the things I remember about it is because growing up on the South Side, you know this on the East Side, a lot of black people don't venture over to that side of town.
Facts.
Like
still don't.
And my grandma used to take me to clean our lawyer's house, which was literally on the backside of Wake Forest. And I never forget, it was a game against Kansas where I scored like 20 points for the first time, and I did an interview, and it was asking me about like what you know about Wake Forest and all that stuff, and I was like, well, I just thought it was a bunch of trees. And that was before, you know, I understood like we had a D1 private great institution right in our own backyard, you know. And so that right there in itself, when I played back that in my mind after I did the interview, that made me want to have more knowledge, made me want to understand more about, you know, what was going on in the universe, you know, and in the world. So, you know, like I said, it goes back to you knowing, like, you know, if you want to sit back and just stay in a dormant state, and you know, that's your choice. But I encourage everybody to just try to learn something new every day.
Wow. So, Josh, what was the highlight of your career? Some highlight moments at Wake Forest?
Well, we won the NIT my freshman year.
I remember that. And
we should have made the tournament, but ACC was tough that year with the Dukes, Carolinas, Virginias, Marylands. We was playing. It was definitely a tough year. But to win the NIT, and a lot of people said that's was the not inviting tournament.
Yeah,
they used to talk jump, but I don't think people understand the mentality it takes to win 5 games in a row.
Yeah,
you know, and then have to travel. I think we had to travel two games out of town, and then we had 2 home games here before we could even go to play in Madison Square Garden, which was the mecca of basketball. I think I still, if I'm not mistaken, still have my pictures when I took of the floor. And that's when I kind of knew that I was all in with basketball then. I prided myself on not failing any classes at Wake Forest because people didn't know Wake was a private institution. So back then, this is going to make me tell my age again, you had to have 820 base to get into any university.
They don't even score like that no more.
They don't score like that no more. But Wake Forest at the time, you had to have a 940.
Wow.
So, I mean, I was basically almost 1,000, and they didn't take the ACT score. So, for me to be able to pass and show that I could apply myself, that was another great accomplishment for me. And then, of course, my senior year, become an ACC Player of the Year in my hometown.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, I still sit back and like kind of giggle at it and be like, man, I really did that. A silly young kid, goofy, got picked on playing basketball. Southside.
Here I am, Madison Square Garden, Wake, Player of the Year.
Yeah,
all those things, all those accolades.
Yeah.
So here you are at Wake Forest. Who, during the time of your college career, would you say probably was the toughest player that you played against?
Ooh.
In college?
In college. I would say Juan Dixon, University of Maryland.
Yeah.
I had to guard smaller guards because I was a little bit athletic when I was taller, so I made it tougher for them to shoot.
Yeah.
Joseph Forte, that was in my early basketball, like my first 2 years.
Yeah.
I can say those two names ring a bell because I always had to chase them, and I hated chasing smaller guards. Them guys.
So did you start all 4 years or what?
I started all 4 years.
I tried you on that one.
Yeah.
I tried you on that, right?
And that was the thing too. I appreciate going to Hargrave because it toughened me up because I knew it was seniors and sophomores ahead of me.
Right.
But I didn't let them like try to intimidate me.
Mindset,
yeah.
That is.
And then next thing you know, I was starting and coach could trust me. And that's one thing, rest his soul, Coach Cloud taught me about trust, over there at Glenn High School. And, if a coach can trust you.
Coach Cloud was at Glenn, right?
He was at Glenn, yeah. Napoleon Cloud. I got to say his full name because everybody
know
him.
Cloud, that's right.
Yeah, man, that was, he was like my first father figure, really. Pick me up, take me to play basketball. I would stay after school with him and watch film. That's when we had the VHS.
Yeah.
A lot of people know about the shooting guns that'll shoot the ball at you. Well, Coach Cloud had
That's Kim's father, right?
Yeah.
So she gave me my first job, man, at Kmart.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. I know the family well, man.
Yeah, they
great family. Yeah,
great
family.
Exactly, man. And I appreciate them. I said it at the funeral, like, just giving me that time to spend with Coach, man.
Yeah.
Again, he didn't have to do that stuff, and he was one of the people that I think about when I coach as far as being a mentor, being more than just a coach. It ain't about anybody can play basketball. You can teach anybody. It's what you teach them as far as like growing and developing and expanding themselves, because
another great man, Napoleon Cloud. That's all right,
Napoleon,
man.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it, brother. So, when you think about life, man, it takes a lot of strong men, a lot of strong mentors to get you to that place.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are. We back at Wake Forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You finished up your senior year. You were ACC Player of the Year, right?
Yep.
And so did you think you were going to get drafted? How were you feeling?
Well, I knew I was going to get drafted, but I also knew I was, I can say this, brutally honest back in the day. I learned that from Helen Howard. I know you met my grandma before.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. So I think some of the things I said in my interview process dropped me down to where I got drafted because I should have been a lottery pick. But that taught me about, like, you really can't say everything that you want to say because some people don't receive it.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
I create as I speak.
Yeah. So, but it also helped me out again because, like, leading up to getting drafted, it just put that chip on my shoulder to go to Dallas and be the best player I could be.
So what did you get drafted at that year?
The 29th pick, which is the last pick in the first round, which is still guaranteed. I got 4-year contract. It was just, and I don't care about it, but the money scale, they had a sliding scale.
Uh-huh.
So first through, I think 13 at the time, made $1 million plus, just depending on which.
Just signing?
Just signing, yeah.
Wow.
So after that, it just goes down like on the scale. So me, not saying that I was tripping on it, but I had guaranteed money, but I couldn't live like first pick through the 20th pick could live. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed with my grandma when I came back that first year of basketball.
Mm-hmm.
The second year, I rented an apartment. Third year, I rented an apartment too, or rented a house. And then my fourth year is when I bought a house here finally.
Mm-hmm.
But then on that scale, it taught me about finance and, saving my money, doing what I needed to do, not trying to live like a vet who, you know,
Right.
I played with Antoine Walker.
Yeah.
I already had made $100 million, telling us his money was longer than the Trinity Bridge. I still remember that like it was yesterday.
He said, "What up?"
His money was longer than the Trinity Bridge, and that's a bridge in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to see, you know, what he dealt with and his financial struggles at the time, you know, it taught me a lot about, again, saving my money, making right business choices. I'm with Chris Leak over at Morgan Stanley right now, and he has did a tremendous job with me and just helping me maintain my lifestyle, you know, that I had when I was in the NBA.
Chris Leak is a monster, man.
Yeah, man.
Me and him talk a lot, man. You one of the reasons I ended up over there messing with Chris Leak, man. Yeah. He bad boy. That's another legend.
Yeah.
So here you are, Dallas Mavericks, South Side, went to Wake Forest, graduated from Wake Forest, and now you playing in the NBA.
Yeah.
How did you feel, man, when they called your name 29th pick, first round?
Blessed.
That's
I cried. Like, thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was disappointed because I wasn't in the lottery, but to still hear my name called and to be from a city where, you know, a lot of people don't think you can be successful at that time, you know, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I was the first player to go pro in basketball in this area.
Wow.
If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, but to accomplish that, and like I say, to just be humble with it and understand that I had a whole city looking at me.
Oh, you know, man, you did. You had the whole city pulling for you.
Yeah, and it was just me just being humble all those years, like high school and going from rec to rec, playing basketball and just meeting people and just being true to myself and, you know.
So what's life like after the NBA? You know, guys go make that money. It's a whole different lifestyle, right? Whole different world.
Mm-hmm.
So you done transition from Southside, Wake Forest.
Yeah.
Now you playing with the best players in the world.
Yeah.
You living a whole nother lifestyle.
Yeah.
You playing for the owner, Cuban, right?
Yep.
Mark Cuban.
Mm-hmm.
Now his money longer than probably the Trinity Bridge without question.
No question.
And the Brooklyn Bridge and a few other bridges too, right?
Yeah.
All add them up together, right?
Yes, sir.
So what was that like, man, when you said, I'm done, I'm hanging my sneakers up?
Well, because of injuries and me having my kids, I got, like, my mindset had kind of changed. You know?
Shifted.
Yeah, and I knew I had made enough money where I can take care of my kids. And longevity-wise, if I kept doing what I was doing, I was going to be able to take care of their kids. But I got mentally depressed, you know, because all those years of, you know, playing basketball, a lot of people don't realize that it does take a toll. It's really like somebody getting up every day and going to a 9 to 5, but actually doing something that you love, you know. And like in my case, it got kind of taken away from me via injuries, you know. So I was depressed for about 2 years. And I felt like I needed to get acclimated back with, like, kind of being, I guess you can say, a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I took those 2 years off, traveled, partied, of course, because I didn't do that much when I was in the league. And then I started realizing, like, again, my calling, because I didn't want to franchise no business. I got into real estate, and that was cool, but I got tired of dealing with the tenants, you know, so I knew that wasn't something I wanted to do long term. So Coach Prosser was very influential in my life and my career, and I reached out to him about, you know, working out and, you know, working out kids. And it was just something that I started doing, you know, and I realized, like, I was reaching kids that didn't have an opportunity to you know, work out with anybody of my, I guess, stature. And
that's a fact of your caliber.
Yeah.
Who gets a chance to even work out with an NBA player?
Exactly.
To even have a conversation with you, man.
Yeah.
The knowledge that you possess, the lessons that you have learned, the people that have mentored to you, the people that you have access to, the people see on TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, you and I were talking before we started rolling. Knowledge is king. Knowledge is powerful.
Yeah.
You know, people die for a lack of knowledge,
Yep.
right? And here you are, you possess knowledge, and you possess a circle of people
Mm-hmm.
that ensure your success,
Yeah.
right? So now that you retired. I know you're coaching down in Texas. I know you were coaching here in Winston at Piedmont. Formerly known as Piedmont, Carolina University.
Yeah.
And now you're down in Dallas coaching, right?
Yeah.
But you still come back. You were here this weekend at the camp over at CP3, right?
Yeah, well, we partner with him through my league.
That's good stuff, man, to see hometown brothers come back and partner.
Yeah. So that was cool because we do the winter and fall league over at Reynolds Park, Anderson Center. Yeah, right. I'm old school. It was Reynolds Park back in the day.
It was. I still call it Reynolds Park.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we do it over there, and then, like I say, partner with Chris for the summer. It's just a better atmosphere, a cooler atmosphere because, we have teams coming in from Greensboro.
I know.
And just wanting to be a part of something that's legit. Yeah. So like I said, I was over there this weekend, and then after I leave you today, I'm going to spend some time with Harry Giles and his camp out in I think it's in Clemens at Rise Academy. And just
Davie County.
Yeah, Davie County.
Yeah.
And just showing my support, man, because watching him, he came to my camps when I was doing camps. And just seeing how
Harry doing now?
I think he's doing well. I know he wants to be back in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that's, mentally a grind because he had the same injuries that ended my career, but he had them earlier with the ACLs. So just mentally pushing through that, that's the toughest part about those injuries. But just overall talking to him and seeing him, he seems like he's happy and is on the right path to getting back in the league.
Man, you have no idea how much I appreciate you and so many other people. I tell you this before I let you go. I know you're a man on the move, times, dates, and scheduling that you got a commitment to. But I was over at Reynolds Park last week for an event that the Indians were putting on, a coaching event. And I walked in there and saw the floor, man, the gym floor, man. And I was talking to Brian. I said, man, I see Josh footprints everywhere I go, man. Yeah. And that's so powerful, man, that you give back to this city. You give back to, and you give hope to folk that normally wouldn't have hope. Normally folk that couldn't touch you, man. I used to hear stories about you, man, where one story that still sticks out in my head is that ice cream truck pulls up over at the rec. Yeah. You told him, man, stay there. Yeah. Every kid in the gym gonna have ice cream, right? Yeah. Just send me the tab.
Yep.
Stuff like that, man. Little stuff like that. Stories that I've heard of what you're doing, your generosity, your kindness. I applaud you for what you've done to this city, how you've made us proud, man. One of our Trayfo, Winston Salem, North Carolina sons, man. You have truly made us proud. And so before I let you go, man, anything you want to say, because there's some guy somewhere looking, saying, man, how can I be next up? How can I, even though I'm right here in a situation that may seem hopeless, it may seem a little dreary, how can I keep my mindset right or put myself in a place to win, at least have a chance of winning?
Well, I like to use the acronym for the word game, and I put this together because it's something that I use when I go and talk to groups of kids.
Yeah.
G stands for grades, or if you're not in school, I say gratitude, because you just got to be thankful at the end of the day.
True.
Grade-wise, if you're trying to be successful and you're in school, that's first and foremost. If you can't pass a class, you're not going to play football, basketball, baseball, any of those sports. The A, of course, we've already talked about, is accountability.
Exactly.
If you can't hold yourself accountable, then you're going to stay in that situation that you're in no matter what.
Wow.
The M, mentality. It's all mental. Like, if you can't focus in on your goal, try to figure out the steps to get to your goal, again, you're just going to stay right there where you're at in that same little rut and just saying, whoa, it's me, why is me, instead of trying to change that mentality. And E, everybody knows this, effort.
Effort.
If you can't give the effort for those three other words, then again, you just talking hot air. So when I say that at the end, I always say, play the game, don't let it play you.
I like that, man. I like that.
So
you're doing so much, man. I'm sitting here looking at your logo, man. Paper Planes, right?
Yeah.
Your shirt line that you're launching, your clothing line, positivity. That's good stuff, man. Paper Planes, greatness.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. I was sitting here looking at you when you were talking, and it hit me, man. I've had some of our favorite sons. I had Rusty LaRue.
Yeah.
I had you, all 2 from Wake Forest.
Yeah.
I'm missing one more, man, CP3.
We're going to get him here.
So when you see him and you talk to him, tell him I'm looking for him.
I got you.
Tell him.
I get you.
Tell him I'm looking for him. But listen, man, it's so great talking with you. I appreciate everything you're doing. I'm going to try to get you back 11th or so of August, man, get you up to one of the camps we're going to do up at Camp Haynes to speak to a group of kids, man. I love what you're doing, man. I'm so proud of you, man. So proud for you to be a part of the family, man. And as always, anytime you in town, you need anything, you holler at me. Thank you, man, on behalf of all of us, man.
Appreciate
we love you.
Love you
and
too.
Much success, brother.
Yes, sir.
Once again, we had Josh Howes with us, one of our own, legendary from Winston-Salem. Thank you. And as always, we love you. We love the support. And more importantly, we love what you do here in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.